just for my personal YouTube channel. As I say, I believe we're
Oh,
going out on. We might be being streamed. I think. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm afraid I have no information in that regard yet for you, Cass.
That
Sorry.
that's okay. I'm recording it and I'll pop it on YouTube anyway. So okay. So welcome back to the auditorium here at SL15B. Thank you, Holga. This is my third and final live discussion. You can see the previous discussion on relationships from last night is now on my personal YouTube channel. So you can find me as Kes Crystal. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Monday's talk recorded, but hopefully this one will be. So today's subject is fashion and blogging. Blogging has exploded as a phenomena in Second Life over probably the last 6 years or so, but definitely over the last 2 or 3 years. And so I wanted to talk about fashion and fashion blogging, but not just the situation today, but what it's been like in the past. And I'm joined by two people with legacy names, which, as I said on Monday, means they're old. Wicker Merlin and Trouble Deathly. Um, and the reason that we asked them will become apparent because I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and what they do or have done that's relevant to fashion and blogging in the past. So, Wicker, ladies first. Trouble, no, Wicker.
So Trouble's the lady first? No, just kidding. Um, yeah, I'm 10 years old and I found my way relatively early to fashion in Second Life. It was around about in 2008 and 9, 2008 or 9. And back then modeling was a big thing. But meanie. Faba, you're mean. I know that I'm a granny. Okay. Um, then when I started modeling, blogging was not yet that big of a deal. So what we basically did was just we showcased the outfits that we got for modeling in the very beginning. And pictures were relatively clean back then, like more than fashion or editorial pictures where you just had the focus on the fashion. And that developed over the time. Meanwhile, we have artistic pictures that are wonderful for blogging, and blogging in general changed because nowadays you have way more bloggers than back then. And even the vlogging that came now in, that is very new, or that it's there for the past 2 years, that was never present like in 2009 or something. That was there it was relatively different, and the fashion community was not that big either, so that exploded as well over the past few years.
Okay, and Trouble. What do you do?
What do I do? Um, I have a tendency of bothering Cass a lot, but I started SL when I was 16, another account on the teen grid. This one actually is from the teen grid as well. I transferred over to the main grid, which is this grid, and I played around a bit. And then I got into the modeling industry, and that's actually where I met Wicca. It was 2013. She was my first modeling teacher. So,
Oh yes, that's right.
where I didn't know how to pose. What do I need to buy poses for? What is this? Actually, another one of my modeling teachers, Falbala, she's in the audience. From there, I owned a fashion agency. We had 6 fashion weeks, and I have had Eclipse for, I guess, like 3.5 years now. It's a lifestyle and culture magazine, and obviously a big part of lifestyle and culture is fashion, so we have 2 or 3 pieces monthly that are dedicated to fashion and bloggers, which goes hand in hand now. I also um, co-founded BVN with Dell and Kess, which serves as a resource support group, networking group for bloggers.
Okay, so
Yes.
when both of you started modeling, was modeling the way that most fashion stores promoted their items, as if blogging wasn't really sort of around as much then?
Well, it was, yeah, it was actually. I remember designers used to, some of them would release like full collections, and blogging wasn't as prevalent, and
Yeah,
because
but
we saw the boom like 2, 3 years ago, there were still bloggers, but not as much. So the only real way to promote their items was through fashion shows.
the thing was that back then when I started modeling, there was not so many events around us that we have today. So
Mm.
designers really worked like in half a year's or quarterly collections and released them via fashion shows with the big agencies. And there were not so many agencies around that we had back then in 2008. We had 3 or 4 really big ones where everybody wanted to release with. And back then it was not, you didn't have so many fashion designers that you have nowadays. So that was a difference as well, I guess.
Now I'm curious. So back then you went to a fashion modeling agency, or did first of all you go to modeling school?
Yes.
Yes.
In 2008, I guess it was, I started with actually I had 3 different modeling courses because there were like 3 renowned agencies in 2008, and you had to have certificates from all of 3 to get hired, basically, from them to, or from other modeling agencies to be able to walk fashion shows.
Wow. Okay, that's that's more than I thought. Um, so is your agency still active? Trouble.
No, it hasn't been active for like 2 years now. I think our last fashion week was 2000, spring of 2016, and even that was just a last hurrah just because we felt
Yeah,
like
I guess the fashion shows boomed as well, and there were so many agencies coming from nowhere and out of the ground, and for quite some time you had fashion shows all over every day, all kind of. And I guess people got tired because the last fashion shows that I saw, you saw less and less people really going there and watching.
plus there's also, I guess, it got a little antiquated too, not just in the idea that blogging was a better tool for designers to showcase their items, and cheaper too, because people are paying like 20, 40, 100K to have a fashion show produced by the agency they wanted. But I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, after some time, designers started to hire models as model managers for their store models or as blogger managers, and those people were able to do shows as well because they walked like a million shows before, so they didn't need the agencies anymore. Because if you hired agencies, certainly you had to pay for models, you had to pay for a scripter, you had to pay for a builder for the set. So that was really quite not a cheap thing to have a fashion show.
I just remembered where my train of thought went. Just with the modeling industry and how it progressively started to wane. Also, just because Wicca, you remember how hard it was to get the penumbra models to start wearing mesh bodies, mesh heads, etc. It was like pulling teeth. So it's a very, it became antiquated, not just in the necessity, but just in their aesthetic as well.
First it was the mesh bodies that really was a problem, and then the mesh heads, because
Hmm.
in the beginning when we had static mesh heads, every model was taught to have a unique face, and with the static mesh heads that was nearly impossible. So many of those old school models refused to wear those static mesh heads. So before we had the bento, it was really a problem, and I think that was a down part as well for fashion shows because models did not kind of wanted to update and look like not anymore unique.
Yeah. So I guess in order to be up to date, they had to have mesh. Um, but mesh took away from what it was to be a model in Second Life.
Especially the hats, yeah, in the beginning when we had the static mesh hats.
Hmm.
Plus, there was the problem that when the mesh bodies came, all the normal clothing did not fit anymore. and the new mesh clothing did hardly fit on the bodies if you did not have any of the standard sizes that they kind of were made for. And
You know,
back,
I'm sorry.
no, sorry, go ahead.
But it's worth noting some models really did transition well. I mean, Mirabane, Carly Benazzi. So some of these bloggers that you see now who are doing really well, they do have Wicca, obviously. In case you're not familiar, just check her profile. She has a blog. But no, a lot of models did transition into bloggers. It was their love of fashion was that drove them, and they worked on their photography skill, and they're doing really well now.
So was it harder then to put together model shows once Mesh came in because of it being more difficult to mix and match items because of, fit and that kind of thing?
You know, with fashion shows, the idea is to always was to promote the designers. So when we do fashion weeks, like if it wouldn't fit, then they'd wear their system body or they'd wear their mesh body until
Oh,
mesh clothing.
I
What happened?
remember as well when mesh came out first. The problem was as well that many people did not see the mesh bodies right. So we were always be told in the beginning, don't wear a mesh body, your arms will not appear and you will look alpha. So there was quite a time until many people were capable to really see those mesh bodies on stages, because usually the fashion shows in the past were very crowded, and if you had like 50 people on the sim, it was really a hard thing to rest the mesh stuff
I think it's
in the
mostly because
beginning.
people weren't updating their viewer, so then mesh would look all wonky to them. But then it's also, myth perpetuated as fact because people were content where they were and in the mindset that they had.
I do remember when Mesh Viewers first came out, and some friends of mine bought some mesh items, and I didn't have a mesh viewer, and it was. I kind of would like to go back and look at how people look with a non-mesh viewer now, because
A
I'm
lot of
sure it would be
triangles
quite
probably.
funny. I'm sure there's a
Yeah.
video blog to do there with that. Um, you've taken trouble a quite unique approach to still doing fashion shows with your fashion theatre. Could you tell people a bit more about that?
Fashion theater. So the first one we did, well, fashion theater. Basically, we take a play or a movie and we turn it into theater. And I know there are a ton of theater groups out there now, but because, we threw in the fashion aspect there, the key part was, having their avies look good, up to date, and showcasing our sponsors. So for thereafter, the event that we did a year ago, we did a post-apocalyptic take on the Taming of the Shrew. So I think it was 5 acts. Each act had like between 4 and 6 scenes, and we'd run it just like a fashion show in that the actors, actresses would be cued in, cued out. They got style checked, they got pose checked, except when they were posing, instead of, just walking straight out and, showing out the outfit, they would still show out the outfit because, it's right there and you can see it, but the idea was to take those poses and kind of tell a story with them based on what the script said. So that was really cool. And then we also did it in March with the Breakfast Club. That was fun as well. And then Kess convinced me that we should do one for BVN too, so that'll be fun too. Kess being
Oh,
you.
yes. Oh, yes, yeah, no, me. I know me. Um,
Just
yes,
making sure.
we do have a fashion theatre idea to do for BVN. Um, can I say what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we're going to do a fashion theatre play based on a day in the life of a blogger. Um, it will be quite satirical. Let's just put it that way. But we think it'll be a lot of fun, so we're going to do that for BVM. That's coming soon. It's a little bit of a sneaky bit of information there for you guys.
Spoilers.
hmm So, did you start Eclipse magazine because you saw the modeling side of things waning, or did it originally start to did you originally start it to sort of blend with what you were doing from a modeling point of view?
I was talking to a couple of my friends at the time. Actually, I'm still friends with some of them. And a lot of the magazines, publications we were seeing were strictly geared towards, I guess, the modeling industry, magazines for models. So we thought, hey, let's put a culture and lifestyle where the focus is on everything on the grid. I mean, our cover stories each month, we featured people like Strawberry Singh, Dragster, Skips to Healy, Blueberry.
Me,
Last month
me,
we featured Dead Dolls, and then August 2016 or 17 I featured you, and that's how we met. But it's essentially we take someone or a group that has taken the whole concept of your world, your imagination, you know, that slogan you see every time you try and log into the Second Life website, and like really just grab it by the horns that they've done something or they do something or they've created something that really has impacted the cultural and lifestyle of Second Life. So that's what we did. And like I said, a lot of the publications I was seeing out there it was all modeling stuff. And I was like, well, that's boring. What about, RP? What about the different communities out there? What about the different things that interest people? So that's how that came about.
but there's still a heavy fashion content to the
I
magazine.
mean, I publish between 11 and 14 features every month, and we have trending now, we have Through the Lens, which is photographer and fashion, I guess. Then we have the Prue Spotlight, which is blogging, but that also has fashion influence. Kess, am I missing anything? Not Kess, Wicca. Wicca is also like my photographer, and she helps me out with the trending now too, so she'd know. I think that's it.
Yeah, but I would not say that is fashion centered. It has a part of it,
Yeah.
but there is so much more to it, like role play sims or interesting sims, beautiful sims. Then you had a musician for some time, or you had featured various
We still have
musicians
the
over the time.
musician, yeah.
Um, so I think it's really a wide range of different things. Certainly the fashion is in there because I guess travel came from there. Many others come from there, but it's not a main focus anymore. It's overall it's a lifestyle magazine where you have very many different parts.
So maybe about 25%, I guess, would be
hmm
fashion related because I feel like for a lot of people on SL, fashion is a big thing. I mean, I guess you could technically take when I cover a designer, that's fashion, or when I cover an event on my cover, that's fashion, but it's a big part of who we are, how we dress ourselves, how we present ourselves in Second Life.
I was about to say it has to be a big part because everybody wants to be dressed and many want to be
Mm-hmm.
dressed up to date. So you go after trends. Many see or many want to have a real life influence in Second Life as well and go about actual trends. That is what Eclipse does with a trend section. And then you have all those other kind of fashions that you have, like role play fashion or even different people or different characters over Second Life that he showcased with all kind of fashion, but they always wear something. Anyways, what it
Yeah.
is.
So for the trending now, how do you
Mm-hmm.
select? How do you decide what's going in there? What's the process?
Oh, for the last two issues, this is how the process worked. Typing furiously. Hey Wicca, I need help. Can you find me like 6 trends? I need 2 guys, 4 girls. I'm really swamped. Can you help me, please? That's typically how it is, but for generally, I guess even Wicca probably does the same process. I mean, you research it online, you find out, like, you look at the past fashion weeks and see what was trending, and then you look for the season that you're in, summer, right now, what, spring, summer 2018, and you look at the previous year, and then that's how you go.
Yeah, and then
Or
you certainly
sometimes I'm
look as
just
well.
inspired by like, I think October. That's when I started getting into Mischief Managed and October, Halloween, Harry Potter, Witch and Wizard. Um, we did. fashion at MM at Mischief Manage. So it's inspired by everything and anything. But as of late, it's mostly real life trends that we translate into, well, fashion weeks, it's like haute couture, so you
What
always
I
want it ready to wear,
what I
so it
did is
doesn't look
really was
so.
looking real life trends, but as well looking what designers released. So
Hmm.
because you have some real life trends that you simply cannot make for Second Life. For example, what's a very hard thing is like frills and feathers to have that really realistic. Um, that really does not work for creating in Second Life. So what I always try when he asks me for trends, I go and search for certainly the actual trends in real life, and then I see what actually from those trends can we use for Second Life where stuff is there to use it to create those trends.
I don't know, she struggled with rubber and plastic this last go around.
I didn't struggle.
She did. You did shorts.
Yeah, but I did research and there is stuff around.
Yeah,
It's
there
just hard
was.
to
I mean, she
find.
could have done rubber boots, but
But it's always in the people's heads, in
yeah.
their imagination, how they kind of imagine the trend they get, because we don't want to have, or Trouble always says, don't copy those styles that we find. Just create something in that theme to his models. So this is why he has
Mm.
models for that section,
So it's being
because they're usually
inspired
skilled
by
enough.
current
Exactly.
trends.
Hmm.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you've obviously mentioned creators and their imagination there. You're obviously a creator and designer as well yourself with your store. Um, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, Wicca?
Oh, sure. um, we started basically when all the mesh stuff started to happen. Or basically, I started with poses back then in 2013 or 14. And I mainly started doing my own poses for my own blogging, basically, because I did not find what I wanted, and then I had like 2,000 poses, was too lazy to look them through to see what fits, and so I started making poses. And so when someone asked me, yeah, do you sell your poses? I was like, no, and it was like, you should. And then I started
She
out
made
with
my
poses.
pose virtual
That's
2000.
right. I still
That
have
was
those.
you.
That was really fun. We should snap them somewhere. Um, and after some time, I had the feeling that I would like to have other stuff done too, not just poses. And back then I had no kind of Blender skills or Maya skills, so we started out with using templates, and back then it was quite common because not many people were able to make their own mesh, but a very few sold a lot of templates that you could texture yourself. And after a while, that was not really satisfying anymore because you had just to use what you get, and your imagination goes further, and then you don't find the parts, and then you get frustrated. So there was a point when I thought, okay, I have to start learning a 3D program to create my own. And in that time, my real life and second life partner Rekla um,
Shout out to
found
Red.
found fun to kind of try with Blender as well, because he was creating layer shirts way back then and stopped with all the new sculpties and whatnot, and so he thought Mesh could be fun. But that took as well like 1 year, a minimum, until we had something that we would quite release, because it's just a learning process. And with each design that you do, it becomes better. So what we now try, or what we now want to do, so for about 1 year we only have our own mesh. We don't use templates anymore, and we slowly get rid of all the templates, or put them to an outlet, because we really want to focus on doing our own things. Because you have just way more possibilities if you really create yourself.
And how would you describe your store? What sort of if people haven't seen your store at all and they want to go to it, how would you describe it before they arrived?
Um, I'm somewhat crazy, and people who know me do know that. And so there is not, basically not a red line. And yeah, Falbala said it. We created someone the slogan Beyond the Ordinary, because it's not that we have a red line, because I don't feel very comfortable with casual myself, because this is nothing that attracted me in Second Life, because in real life I have to wear a lot of casual for the job. Um, and so I always wanted to have something different, something crazy, something maybe just really something simple that has an extra twist on it. So we don't do regular casual much, because there's people who can do that much better. Um, but what for me it's like see something or I hear something. I'm very inspired by music because I was for 20 years I was a musician myself in real life. So it's kind of an emotion or a feeling, or if we get a special theme that triggers me, and then we do something. But it's all kind of. We have casual stuff, we have shoes, we have role play stuff, we have a little bit of medieval stuff. So it's not basically a red line. It's just all what is fun for us to create that we want to do.
Okay. And moving into talking more about bloggers, because obviously we've started with the models and talked about creating fashion. Um, do you have bloggers for your store, Wicca?
Yes, we have a very wonderful team of bloggers. It's not too big, but very dedicated and very loyal. And um, it is not easy to find bloggers, and I think every designer knows that, because if you have a very versatile stuff in your store, then it's not that you can kind of hit a casual blogger and then you suddenly release something that goes towards something medieval, then they don't like it. So everybody has to find bloggers that really like that brand or stand behind the brand and like all the variety that a designer creates. But bloggers are really a very, very important part of promotion. If we would not have them, I would not know how to spread the news, basically.
So this is where the conversation gets weird. So, Trouble, could you tell us a bit about the Blogger of Vlogger Network? Because I know nothing.
So we started BDN. Okay. Blogger and Vlogger Network. It's basically our goal with BVN. There was an existing blogger group, but we wanted something that was inclusive, that whether you have been blogging for 10 years or you've been blogging since maybe yesterday, we wanted there to be a place for you to come and find information, to provide a platform for networking and support. And we do bi-weekly presentations. Kess records them now and puts them on YouTube, and basically it's just a place for bloggers to help each other. Kess is like, I have so many other things I want to add. Kess, I don't know, this lady.
At least he's calling me a lady now.
Maybe let me tell something about BVN because I'm not one of the founders.
Yes.
So
Good idea.
No, go on. I mean, not for anything. Let me add about Wicca. Wicca has done numerous presentations for us. She also is one of our teachers for BV University. And yeah, just go ahead, Wicca.
When I first read BVN, I was like, I saw it in Trouble's profile first. I was like, what are you doing? Because I'm always nosy when he does something new, because he usually has great ideas. And he started telling me about a community where not only models, which that was my experience before, but bloggers and vloggers can share news, can help each other, can make collaborations. And when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh, hell yes. Because when I started blogging, you were just like a single fighter. You did your own thing and nobody wanted to tell something, and people were scared that you could get a place where some other people or some other person would like to be a blogger, and so there was no sharing about something. And I only knew the SL blogger support before, and then when I heard about BVN, about all the possibilities and all the options they offer, and the website where you can find so much useful information, it was a totally new world to me. And from a blogger's perspective, it's a dream, because people are so nice and kind and share information what I never heard before. And even from a designer's perspective, it is great because they as well offer to bring together designers and bloggers. So that helps a lot. So they have a website, Trouble just posted it, where you really have a lot of different things. You have blogging opportunities, you have the blogger searches when designers search bloggers. As a designer, you can get in your searches or your requests. Then you have a very helpful site with tutorials. Even Photoshop tutorials get shared, or any other kind of tools that you can have. So I learned, even if I was really an old fart back then, and I thought, okay, there is not much to it, I learned so many new things as well. Resources for Sims where you can go, photo-friendly places. To me, it was a totally new world, and I'm very, very grateful that I was allowed to be some kind of a part of it and to be in that group. Really, it's not a smoothing or ass-kissing thing. I never had a place before, neither in modeling nor somewhere else, where people were so nice and kind together and helped each other. And for that, I would really like to thank you that you started that.
We should hire her. She's
We
great.
really should. And
It's just
because
my
if we promote it, we
experience.
sound like we're gassing ourselves up. But Cass, that's great.
Yeah, no,
I
that,
mean, Wicca.
yeah. We,
I'm not getting paid for everybody. This was really right out of my heart. It was right out
Wait
of my
till you
heart.
see the
And
August issue of Eclipse.
um,
They'll be like,
trouble,
that's why she said
trouble.
that all.
You know it. When I said I was teaching modeling in Second Life for what, 6, 8 years,
A
and then I
million.
was tired somewhere, and I said I'm never ever going to teach somewhere because I'm
Oh.
just tired of it. And then you came across and asked me about a topic that I never teach before or never taught before. So, and if it would not have been such a great place where people share so many information, I would never have agreed to do workshops or to do classes at BVN University. It was just about because I really felt home there. And this is why I wanted to contribute something and give something back. That was the only reason.
oh, thank you. I know your classes and the presentations that you do on it, when we do the general presentations are always so well received and people learn things. People actually sort of say, I walked away from that knowing this, and this that I didn't know before. I learn stuff, and I'm not an older blogger. It's like 3 years, I think now. Um, but I nearly always learn something from all of the presentations that we have um, at BVN. I mean, last week we had a presentation from Sadie about posing and using any pose. I've never used any pose before. I've only ever used anime. So I learned loads at that presentation. Um, and I know that I'm going to learn loads this week because the furthest I've ever got with Black Dragon is downloading it. I've never even logged into the damn thing. So,
Make sure you have a lot of time when you go into Black Dragon Viewer because you won't close it ever. That is a totally different experience. And you need time and you don't want to log out for it.
I'm
so
actually really excited for Moonsita's presentation. She showed me her rough thing that she prepared. It was really cute.
yeah. So for those of you that don't know that aren't from the BVN group, BVN is Blogger and Vlogger Network, and we have usually on average 2 presentations a month on any aspect to do with blogging or vlogging. So that could be photography, it could be a field trip to a destination that's good for photography. It could be, oh, what have we had present? Social media, SEO, promoting yourself, um, how to video blog, how to stream on YouTube, all kinds of subjects that get covered. And they're all
I'm excited
recorded.
for the one in July. This lady named Kess is doing it. It's later in July. It's called Ballin' on a Budget
It's called
with
blogging
blogging in
on a
parentheses.
budget.
If you check, I'm gonna change the website, and if you check the stand, it says Ballin' on a Budget.
Yes, I am doing a presentation on blogging and actually I was talking to a new blogger just today who said exactly that to me. I'm starting out and I don't have a lot of lindens and I need to be frugal with my lindens, but I really want to do more blogging. Um, and I was talking to her then about what she can do and some tips and ideas and writing them down for the presentation. So my presentation is already half written just from that conversation. Just going back to something that you were saying though, Wicca, I do think there has been a sea change, and I don't think it's just BVM, but I do think there has been a sea change in um, bloggers' attitudes to helping each other in the last couple of years, because I think you're probably right. A few years ago, um, you know, bloggers were quite, we probably are still quite insular because we tend to spend our times on platforms building and taking photos. But certainly you see it on the Facebook community as well. All I ever see is bloggers encouraging other bloggers, sharing their posts, congratulating them, um, sharing their successes and encouraging their successes. And I love seeing that. I don't know about you guys in the audience. Do you agree with that? Do you see more of that now than you did a few years ago?
I definitely agree with that. And it's less competitive than it was back in 2009 or 10.
Was that because the bloggers then were models and also the modeling area was more competitive?
It it was the modeling area was very competitive, and it still is, and there is a lot of hiding information to be on the first track or whatnot, and this is why I kind of pulled a little bit back of that industry. But I guess back then not many designers had bloggers because first of all, there were not many around. You only had a few names around that really were dedicated enough to really work on pictures and really showcase things and not just taking a snapshot where you had clothing destroyed or whatnot. And so blogger positions were very rare. And so it was very competitive to be one of the bloggers of one of those big stores because back then there were not many small stores that had bloggers. It was only the very big stores that had bloggers. And so the challenge to get a blogger position was way higher than it is nowadays, at least in my view.
And what do you think has led to that increase? What do you think it is that's happened over those 8 or 9 years that has
I
encouraged this explosion in blogging?
I do think that it really is because of having more stores that want to have promotion. So it's not that when Mesh came out, when the templates came out, all of a sudden many more people were able to kind of design something, not really create the mesh, but design it, make textures for stuff, and so there were many or a few more stores around, and that for me increased it. And certainly the turn of the modeling industry, that fashion shows became lower, like we said before, or more rare. The whole system changed how to promote a store, and having more people around that are able to sell things.
Yeah, it's interesting because there are less residents in Second Life now than there were, 5 or 6 years ago. But I think the fashion economy, certainly from what I see from my work at events and for stores, doesn't seem to be declining. And I'm sort of quite intrigued about that. Are we, the ones of us that are here are so hardcore that we're spending enough to make up for the people that have gone before?
I think partly it's because of the increased popularity of social media. I mean,
Yeah,
when it first came out, 2004, 2005, like I was all college students, and then it progressed, and all these other platforms came out. So I feel like that's part of the reason why it makes the world in general smaller, but it also made the grid smaller. So maybe people were less competitive because of that, and plus it looks good when you're promoting each other and helping each other out. So
yeah,
maybe
and
all true.
especially if you do collaborations with cross posts, you can have the possibility to have viewers that you never had before from to share them with another person with the ones that you have. So that increases as well. So it's more a win-win situation than a fight for positions.
Yeah, it increases your consumer base. Plus, it
Hmm.
doesn't having someone else follow, let's say, having someone who, let's say Wicca and Kess did a blog together, it doesn't take away from Kess if people who have followed Kess now follow Wicca and vice versa. So
Exactly.
it's mutual promotion. So it's good on all fronts.
That's what I thought with a win-win situation in the end.
So, have either of you tried out Sansar at all?
No.
Yes, I was part of the beta as we were invited as designers or creators. So I tried it, but I have to admit, for me, after intensively trying it, it was not my place to be.
Okay.
Because you have, in Second Life, you have a very big socializing platform that you have. You can interact with people, you can talk, and when in the beta, when we started, there was not much way more than typing a little bit, and you had not many people around you. Then the content was limited for especially for clothing, and in the end, be honest, do you want to look at at an avatar that you have that you don't like sh being chic or something? So it's like, to me it was a totally different thing. So it was more like for creating and building and having landscapes and having experiences as being a social platform like Second Life. To me, it's two totally different platforms.
So, do you think it's going to have any impact on the fashion world or the blogging world of Second Life?
Some when they develop more, then maybe, but for now, I would say no.
Trouble, do you have an opinion?
Nope, have no interest in Sansar. So, no, I don't have an opinion. So I assume other people are just like me on the grid. So,
The
oh,
problem for creating things as well is that they limited the creation process on a certain program, and not everybody has that program just because they were playing Second Life before. So for a Second Life designer, it's not an automatic, easy process to upload the creations that you made for Second Life in Sansar. That's not possible in a very easy way. So you have to use a certain program, and I think that this will maybe attract a new consumer base. But I don't think that the majority of Second Life residents might enjoy Sansar as much as they enjoyed Second Life.
But that's one of the things I found really interesting when Strawberry came to talk to us at BVN about um, being an early adopter of new technology and how, as a blogger, we kind of should know about stuff so that we can tell the people that follow our blogs, especially if you're in a position like Strawberry is, that she can inform a lot of people. I mean, she does. There's stuff that I hear about first through Strawberry, um, as opposed to even the official routes, I guess. Because I follow her blog. Um, so it's interesting. Is there an onus on us bloggers to, at least give things a try so that we can give an informed, an informed, what's the word I'm looking for? Description or something like that, or be aware of what's going to happen in terms of, because we know that there are big stores from Second Life that are very active in it. So,
I think if you see it as two different worlds and find it attractive what they created, or the way how they create in Sansar, or what is created in Sansar, or what kind of consumer base they are kind of trying to attract. If you see it really as two different things, then I think there is people from Second Life that like the virtual environment because and then they will like Sansar because the graphics are wow in Sansar. That's not to compare with Second Life graphics, because they have way stronger engines. They have you can do way more in terms of having realistic fabrics and stuff like that. So just from the experience and from the look of things, Sansar is just wow. But I think being not yet, or I don't know if it's even aimed for being such a social platform like Second Life is, because you have those different stages where only so and so much people can be on the same stage, and then you have a mirrored a stage with the same room where you have the next 8 people. So if we see, for example, clubs in Second Life where you have like 40 people in the room, they're talking together. I Back then when I tried Sunset, that was not even possible because the rooms or the experiences were limited to a certain number of people. And I think when you have a different, when you really can part this, one is Second Life and one is Sansar, and not seeing Sansar as a Second Life 2.0, then I think it can really attract people that like experiences, that like to walk and look. But in terms of blogging, I guess there would have been, or there have to be more creators there, especially for fashion blogging,
Yeah,
as
no,
then they
I,
are now.
I,
But
I
maybe
agree
that
about the
builds up.
experiences thing. I used to work for um, a company that created experiences within Second Life, and there was always a barrier around um, the value that people saw in an experience and how much they would be
Hmm.
willing to pay for an
Hmm.
experience in Second Life as opposed to a fat pack of shoes. So
Yeah.
you'd have somebody that would drop however many, 700, 800, 900 lindens on a fat pack of shoes, but then balk at paying 250 lindens for an experience that was going to be, immersive and fun and take, hours and hours and hours of entertainment. Um, so if it's going to be better for experiences, then that's great. But we're kind of steering away from fashion and blogging. Um, what what do you see? This is a trick question, kinda. Trouble's going to be like in my IM in a minute. So, Trouble, what do you see as the future for BVN?
I beg your pardon?
What do you see as the future for BVN?
I feel like we're going to continue what we're doing, supporting the community, providing resources for the community, and yeah, that's it.
Do you have anything coming up in BVN that you want to tell people
Oh
about?
my god, I hate you. I didn't know if I could say it. I guess I can.
Yes.
The bloggies?
Yeah. So,
Okay,
so,
cool.
so
All
tell
right,
us a
I
little
was
bit
really
about
worried.
what you did, what BVN did last year, and what's coming up again.
All right, so for the bloggies, I think we had 22 categories. Anything from best roleplay blogger, best fantasy blogger, uh, best female fashion blogger, best overall blogger, and it just varies. Vlogger of the year. And we took nominations in September. I think September. So we took nominations in September. We had a whole process. You had to drop their UUID. And then if they got a set amount of nominations, then they'd move on to the finals. We'd open up finals. And for all the categories, it was open for public voting except for male fashion blogger of the year, female fashion blogger of the year, and vlogger of the year. We'd have a panel of experts within the blogging community, whether it was, you know, uh, a blogger, designer, event owner, blogger manager, just some really renowned people within it. And yeah, and then we had a big bloggy award, and everyone came and dressed really well, and we had Safia and the other guy hosted, and it was really fun.
Elric.
And we had a bunch of sponsors too. Elric, yeah.
And what date is that happening again this year? Just go for the end date, not all the dates in between.
You're making me nervous. I have to find my notes now. It is going to be October 13th, 2018. That's a Saturday, noon SLT. Mark it on your calendars. We'll be there.
I think one thing that I'd say about the blockies is there were a lot of niche, a lot of quite niche categories that I would have liked to have seen more people nominated in. So for bloggers who are here that are thinking, I'd like to get nominated or whatever, we had things like destination bloggers, so
News.
and news bloggers, um, and do we have arts or non-profit or something like that?
Yeah, we had nonprofit.
hmm
Yep.
So, um, think about things that you could blog about, especially if you're a new blogger and you're looking to start a blog and you want to do something different. Also, I'd say for destination bloggers, we're really looking for people that include the destination. So if they go and use the destination to blog, that they put some detail and at least the slow of the place that they've used as a backdrop for a photo.
If you need ideas for them, feel free to check our website, Photogenic and Risible Sims. It's updated at least once a month. There's also a form if you want to submit a photogenic and risible sim list. Yeah.
So obviously there's been lots of changes over the last 15 years in fashion and blogging and modeling. Um, what do you think is coming in the future, generally, for the fashion world of SL? Um, trouble, trouble.
Tess.
I asked the question.
Sorry, I was reading a message. I'm sorry. Can you repeat it? My apologies. It's past the hour. You know how I am. During BBN presentations, I blank out and everyone's like, Trouble's AFK. Yeah, Trouble is AFK. I'm sorry. But I've been really good. I've been here the entire time. Can you can you please repeat yourself? I'm really sorry.
It will never change. God
I'm
help.
kidding. He's killing me. Um, what do you foresee for the future of fashion and fashion blogging in Second Life?
If you asked me this 6 months ago, I'd be like, oh, vlogging or this and that. I just feel at this point, I think that I can't foresee any changes. I just see that the talent increasing, that's all. Because people honing their skills. Wicca, do you see anything changing?
What I think what will continually changing is the kind of how pictures are done. Because that was for me the biggest change if I look to blogging, how the pictures changed with the new things that Second Life brought us, with wind lights, with whatnot. And I think that the picture quality increases enormous. And I think that will go on because always people will try to find an even better way to showcase things. They gain skills, and the challenge in quotation marks of having a new perspective or a new kind of doing pictures or having a special trademarks on the pictures that people know or having a special way how you showcase things. I think that is what will change with the skills that people gain over time. But more than that, I don't think so. Because
Okay.
I think we all already on the top of blogging, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's some extraordinary bloggers. We haven't really touched too much on vlogging. Do we see that still increasing more or?
I think it will because it's a nice way, for example, for animations and stuff. Or if we ever will get an animated mesh, then this will be something that I think will have a heavy impact because you can capture movement, what you cannot on pictures. But I don't think that vlogging will replace blogging. So I think both will have its purpose and will stay and survive.
Yeah, I mean, I like vlogs for being able to show the different color options and, as you say, things that move.
Yeah.
Um, then, then I like those. But I like short
Yeah.
vlogs. I can't sit and watch for hours or anything.
I
Um,
watch Kess's videos because I like the music or it's about Harry Potter. But anything longer than a minute, then I can't.
No, I think that 3 to 5 minutes is a good thing, but when you see vlogs that go like an hour, then it's really hard to follow them and not have to pause it because the phone rings or this is this. So I think for really news, those vlogs or reviews, 3 to 5 minutes at maximum, maybe 10 if you really have something very new what needs a lot of explanation, but longer than that, I don't think that has too many followers then.
Again, if we have any new bloggers or people in the audience that are considering becoming a fashion blogger, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them before they set out on that journey, Wicca?
Make a decision if you want to be really a fashion blogger that features designers or if you want to do a blog to showcase your own fashion style because many people, or I heard many designers complaining about that people kind of lose the focus on clothing in pictures and stuff like that. I enjoy pictures that are artistically made, I have to admit. But I think you have to make a decision what kind of blogger you want to be. First of all, if you want to be a fashion blogger, if you want to be an art blogger, if you want to be a furniture blogger, or if you want to mix and match that, but if you're going for having sponsors, then you really have to prove that you can showcase whatever you want to feature. So I think it's good to have something in mind what you want to transport with your blog.
And same question to you, Dylan. Trouble. Sorry.
Um, it's alright, it's alright. Join VVN. It's a great resource, but what Cass said, what Wika said was good, but definitely join VVN because when you're starting off with anything, you're gonna have questions, and yeah, you can Google it, but what's better than having a group of like-minded people that are ready and willing to help?
And
So,
don't hesitate to ask. If you have
yes.
something that you follow, a blog that you follow and you really like what they're doing, I don't know how is it for other people, but if I get in questions about starting off blogging, finding sponsors or something, I don't mind sharing. I don't mind sharing with people that I don't know either. So if I get IMs that people ask me, I would like to start blogging, what should I look for or what do I have to have? Like, do I need Photoshop or do I need this? Ask, don't hesitate to ask those people who just do it for a long time. 80% of them are really, really nice and help you. And it's like in real life. If you don't ask, you won't learn it.
Oh, I think that's a really good point to end on. I didn't see any questions in local chat, so if there were any questions and I missed them, I'm sorry, but I didn't see any come through. Um, was there anything you can IM me if you've got a question really quickly? We've got a few minutes left. Is there anything else that um, you, Wicker, or Trouble wanted to add or wanted to get across from today's discussion that we haven't covered?
I would like to add a big thank you for having me, because to me it's always an honor if I'm allowed to speak to a big audience and being asked about my experiences in Second Life.
You're very
So a
welcome.
big
Thank you
thank you to
for
you and
agreeing.
Trouble.
Oh, here we go. What would they love to do in SL that wasn't there yet in fashion?
May I say something?
Yeah,
What I would like?
no, yeah, please do. Because I think we've
We had
almost
a
lost
trend.
Trouble.
We have probably fell asleep already. Um, we had a trend over the past few years that everything became very realistic and were based on real life fashion shows. What I would like is that we see more about roleplay fashion and as well really use the possibilities that Linden Labs gives us with Second Life because it is a virtual world and there's so much more possibilities. There's so much more than just having a shirt and shoes and a pants on. So I would really like to see more fantasy stuff, more using Second Life game mechanics to do crazy things or do something attracting to the main grid again, and not only just to the fashion lovers. Trouble already did a good start with his fashion theater, but I think you can push this kind of things more to the top again. Back then there was a few agencies who dared doing stuff with elevators, with TPs, with a lot of fantasy stuff, what was not real, and I really would like to see that more again, because that's something exciting and that's something that the world gives us. And to me, if I would just have real life possibilities in Second Life would not be that attractive for me than it is with all its possibilities and fantasy and imagination.
I think that's a really good point. And actually, almost that exact same point came up when we were talking on Monday in the decor conversation, that you can do weird things. You can hang things from places that things shouldn't be hung from. When you're building a decor scene. And I guess it's getting into that mentality from a fashion point of view as well.
Yeah, you can really do it in a dramatic way and use. You have so many things that you don't have in real life. You cannot fly over stages. You cannot have teleport stuff done. We have teleports in Second Life, so why don't use them with light beams? And there's so many possibilities that we're not yet really done or having. I had always dreamed of some kind of Matrix looking things where you have a lot of technical stuff and use all those, everything what you have basically, not just a runway where you kind of walk straight and walk back and have a nice fashion show. It's nice, don't get me wrong, but I think there's so much more to it and there's so much more to explore and to do if somebody has the knowledge and the dedication to do that.
Trouble, would you like to answer the same question? So, what would you love to do in SL that wasn't there yet in fashion?
Honestly, my SL's good right now, so I'm fine. Except Falbala asked the question. So for Falbala, I'd like to see more elf ears. What do you think, Fal? I think that was the answer she was looking for.
Okay, so we do have to wrap up. There is another talk at 2 o'clock. It is a Meet the Lindens talk. The sim is going to be restarted before that. So I'll say a huge thank you for Trouble for paying attention for nearly 62 minutes. Um,
Thank you.
and actually
Sorry.
paying attention for at least 47 of them.
Mhm.
And a massive thank you to Wicker for coming along and picking up Trouble's slack. And now, Trouble, if you would show us your modelling that Wicker taught you, um, you can walk around and show the audience your shirt.
Everyone, I'm not gonna walk around, but please feel free to cam me, get your crosshairs, and check out my shirt. Do you see it? Best bomb ever.
I'm going to cam in
That's a
on this.
picture of Kes. I think it's lovely.
It's certainly a
Kes, did you cam
fashion
in on it?
statement. Yes, I did. It's certainly a fashion statement.
And she's even picking me up from platform 9 3/4 for my roleplay account because, you know, I RP a wizard. So there's that.